For this video, I'm going to observe a Google form that Mr. Matthews created and pushed out to his classes. So he has shared this Google form on factoring trinomials with me, so I'm going to open this in Forms, and he's given me access to look at the data as well. So I'm going to look at what he did with this Google form, which one of the characteristics he used, and if there are any improvements that I would suggest to make it better for his students. So he started off with sections. He has 4 sections here, which is awesome because that's not something that I showed him. So that means that he's done some exploration on his own, which is great. He has the locked mode on here, which means that only his students using PCBOE Chromebooks can open the quiz. That cuts out students using their cell phones in other classes or other devices to take the quiz. So that's a nice privacy feature that he's used here. He does have name here, which I suggested for him to use. If I were him, though, I would add a first and last name or just put last name. Maybe last name, comma, first name. I would definitely have last name on here, though, because STI is in alphabetical order by last name. So I would section that, or I would have that sorted by last names alphabetically. So I would either add a first name, last name here, or just add a last name. He has a second section. This is awesome. It says multiple choice factoring. He has the question. It says factor completely, select the correct answer. And if I click on the question, the answer key is worth 5 points. If I click on the answer, he has a choice here. I like that. Okay. Same thing through this whole section. It's just factoring, several questions there. He has open-ended questions here, which is nice. Type the correct answer with no spaces, and he gives them an example of their answer input. That's really, really important, especially when you're doing these text answers, to tell the students exactly how you want your answer to be formatted, because in this correct answer box down here, if you don't put exactly what you want typed in, it will count it wrong and you'll end up having to grade them all by hand. So it's really nice that he has that there. And it says you can add correct answers. So if you're concerned that your students may use X instead of P, you may also add that as a correct answer. That's probably something that I would do. I would also add, since these are squared, I'd also add an answer choice to where it could be P minus 3 squared or X minus 3 squared, because students are really used to using X and Y, and I would hate for them to lose points on this question just because it used P instead of X. So I would probably add that as a correct answer choice. So these are really nice that he has the open-ended questions. Solve each equation by factoring. So we're looking at another short answer question here. This time he's not asking for the factors, he's asking for the answers, which is really nice. His correct answers say, and let's go to the answer key here. So he does have 2 correct answers written here. Now, if I were him, I'd probably add a couple more variations just to cut down on him having to go in and grade each one individually. If someone were to put a space, or if someone were to use capital X's, or if someone were to use a different, like a dash line instead of the minus sign there, I may look at those as well. Really good. I want to look at his setup for this. And if I go to responses, all of his characteristics are there. You can see his frequently missed questions. I'm looking at this one. So it says that the respondent has taken this assessment more than once. It's nice that he can see that. I want to discuss that. You can see here where it says not released. That means that these students took it later, and he has not released those scores yet. It takes the name here, and this is why I would put this as a first name, last name, because some of these students didn't put last names, some of them just put their first names, and it's a lot easier when you take the score report, when you take the Excel spreadsheet here, it's a lot easier to organize it so that you can put it in the grade book if you have last name, first name, because you can just write it straight down and put it into STI, so that's really nice. And that's something that I would tell him to do. Also, I'm gonna walk him through looking at some of this grade analysis. I want to look at his setup here. The settings are turned off because lock mode is on. That's good. Presentation. Okay, he did utilize the show progress bar and the shuffle question order. Really important to maintain integrity for the students. So it makes it a lot harder for them to give into a cheating temptation. And looking at the quiz, it did say that he made it a quiz, which we could obviously see. He does have the lock mode turned on, which is a really nice feature. Again, I can't say enough about that. Later, after manual review, and this, he could probably cut out some of this manual review if he chose, if he added more answer choices in those short answer questions. And he also did not utilize the missed questions or the correct answers, and I support that because doing that in one of the earlier periods leads to cheating in some of the later periods we've learned with these Chromebooks. So overall, he did a really good job of incorporating this, implementing this into his classroom. Another thing that I may tell him, I see that he has 80 responses, so that definitely means that he gave this exact same Google form to more than one class. And there's a couple of things that I'm going to talk to him about as far as his time management and his ease with grading goes when we talk about this in our feedback session. Thank you so much.